What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Premier League is back, and that means Premier League predictions are back as well, and that's what we're going to be going through today. And it's a big weekend in the Premier League. Not only is it the North London derby, the Manchester derby as well. Also a difficult game at Selhurst Park for Chelsea. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the Premier League predictions. The scores on the doors between me and Sim are 54-53, currently very tight in the scoring. And the way the scoring works, it is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, once you pick one man, you cannot pick them again for the remainder of the season. And it is 5 points for a goal and 3 points for an assist. And let's get straight into it. And let's start off with the biggest game of the weekend. And that is the North London derby, Arsenal against Tottenham at the Emirates. I've gone 3-2 to Spurs. I'm sticking to my guns. Sim's gone for 2-2 here. Yep. And my thinking behind it is I think it's going to be an absolutely ferocious battle at the Emirates. Arsenal, I mean, they've been playing really well this season, but they have shown signs of vulnerability with their high line, and Spurs can definitely capitalise on that. And I think that if we could keep it within, just to one goal at half time, then I do think we can go on to win the game.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. But Spurs have been pretty good in the big games under Antonio Conte, beating Arsenal, beating Man City, drew away at Liverpool. So we have a pretty good record, even away from home. But I think with Arsenal high on confidence right now, this game means more than most to them and to us. And I think with them high on confidence with the way they're playing, coming into the North London derby, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for us right at this moment in time to get a win, especially with some injuries as well affecting the squad, with Arsenal having fewer players go away on international duty. So I think that plays into their favour. So I'm going for a 2-2 draw. I'm hopeful that Conte will set us up in a way which can still avoid defeat. And I think a draw would be a good result.
Yeah, it would be. I'll take a draw right now, to be honest. But I'm going to stick to my... I've been saying all week on AFTV, on Spurs, on We Are Tottenham as well, that we will be winning 3-2, so I'm sticking with it. Let's move on to the next game, which is Bournemouth against Brentford. We've both got the exact same scoreline here, 2-1 to Brentford. What's your thinking behind it?
Yeah, I just think Bournemouth have played really well since Gary O'Neill's taken charge. I'm pretty sure they're still unbeaten. I think 2 draws and a win since Gary O'Neill has taken charge. But I think they might come unstuck against a Brentford side who won a bit of reaction after losing quite heavily to Arsenal 3-0 at home in the last game. Ivan Toney, I don't believe got any minutes, did he, for England in the 2 games. So he's going to want to prove Southgate wrong. So I think Brentford will come away with a shade of 2-1 victory. Although I think Bournemouth, given they're still unbeaten, will probably be a tricky game. But I think Brentford have the quality to get over the line.
Yeah, my thinking's pretty much similar. I've been impressed with Bournemouth since Scotty Parker left and Gary O'Neill's taken charge, but I think Brentford will be a bit too strong for them in this game. I mean, I was toying with a draw because Brentford haven't been so great on the road so far this season, but I just favoured just slightly with the Brentford win just because I just feel like they're the better team, to be honest. So probably puts an end to Gary O'Neill's run for Bournemouth, and probably one of their first away wins of the season, that's for sure, for Brentford. But let's move on to Crystal Palace against Chelsea. Again, we've gone for the exact same scoreline here in 1-1. Palace, a notoriously good side at home at Selhurst Park. Chelsea haven't really got to grips with things this season, and I think it's probably going to put them a little bit back, getting that Graham Potter through the door as well. They need to get used to his system and his ideas of football, which is completely different to Thomas Tuchel's. So I've gone for a 1-1 here.
Yeah, I see it being a difficult game for Chelsea, and I think they weren't massively impressive in their first game against Salzburg under Potter, but they've had maybe you could argue a mini pre-season with the international break and the players not going away. He would have had time to work with them, but I still see Palace giving them a lot of trouble at home with the crowd rocking. I'm pretty sure they don't have the best record as well away at Palace, so I think that Palace will. I think Palace should be good for a draw, and in fact, I wouldn't be too surprised if they even win.
Yeah, you say that, but they have won 4 of their last 5 games at Selhurst Park, so look, we'll see how it pans out. But anyway, let's move on to Fulham against Newcastle. Sim's going for 1-1 in this game. I've gone for 2-1 to Fulham actually in this game, and I think Newcastle, Isaac could be out for this one. They do have a few other injuries as well. Only won 1 game so far this season, Newcastle, which everyone's talking about how good they've been so far. On the other side of it, I think Fulham have actually had a really good start to the season. I've been really impressed with the way they're playing their football. Mitrovic is scoring game after game, and I can see Fulham nicking this one.
Yeah, Isaac's injured, but Callum Wilson is back fit apparently, so he should take their place. Bruno Guimaraes, he's come back into the team as well. I don't know if same maximum. I think they've had a few injuries, Newcastle, and I know they've only won one, but they haven't lost many as well. They've drawn a lot of games, so I still think that they're playing fairly well without winning. Fulham, obviously, as you say, Mitrovic is on fire, and they're looking like a tough nut to crack. But I think Newcastle should be good for an away draw here, so I've gone 1-1.
All right, let's move on to Liverpool against Brighton in De Zerbi's first game in charge for Brighton. Sim's gone for 3-0 to Liverpool. I've gone for 2-1 to Liverpool, but what's your thinking behind this one?
I just think it's his first match, and obviously I don't know if he's going to play a different style to how Potter plays, but Potter got the most out of that squad out for Brighton. I don't even think that it's the best squad in terms of how much quality he was getting out through the system. And against a team like Liverpool, you have to have your system absolutely nailed on to be able to compete with them. Otherwise, they're gonna overrun you. And I feel like for his first game, they might struggle. It's a very, very difficult first game to have in the Premier League. And if they're not perfect, I can only see one outcome, and I think it's going to be a resounding Liverpool victory.
Yeah. The thing is, just Liverpool haven't impressed so far this season. When they have won in the Premier League, apart from that 9-0 win against Bournemouth, I think they have been a bit fortuitous. Brighton, on the other hand, I mean, they're a bit of an unknown with this new manager. I mean, what I have been reading is that he plays a very similar style to Graham Potter, so it should fit kind of seamlessly in. But it is his first game, so I'm sure he will have some new ideas to put across, and I think Liverpool will just be a bit too strong for Brighton. I do expect Brighton to come out of the blocks quite fast in this one, trying to impress their new manager, but I do think Liverpool will come away with the victory. Moving on is Southampton against Everton. Sim's gone for 2-0 to Southampton. I've gone for 1-1. I felt like Everton have really grown in the last couple of weeks. Very hard nut to crack with that 3 at the back. Connor Cody leading the line at the back. I feel like their defensive displays have actually been pretty good of late. Southampton, very Jekyll and Hyde side, not really playing too well at the moment. So I've gone for Everton to nick a draw away at Southampton.
Yeah, I think Southampton at home can be tricky opponents, and I think they'll definitely look at Everton and think they can definitely win the game despite Everton's recent decent form. And I think that the way Southampton play, if they can catch Everton out, I think they can nick a couple of goals. And I think defensively, Southampton can sometimes be fairly resolute, and I think Everton have a bit of trouble right now breaking the door down. So I've gone for Southampton, give it with home advantage to nick it 2-0.
All right, moving on to the London Stadium, West Ham against Wolves. I've gone for a bore 0-0 draw here at the London Stadium. Sim's gone for 1-0 to West Ham. I mean, I have really not been impressed at all with West Ham, apart from pretty much the game that they played against us. I think apart from that, they've been shocking for the most part of the season. Wolves have actually been playing some decent football, but still the same problem with Wolves where they're very mean at the back and can't really score up the other end of the pitch. So I've just gone for a 0-0 here. I think both defences might cancel each other out.
I think West Ham are obviously dreadful start to the season, but past 3 games they drew to us 1-1 where they played fairly well. They lost 2-1 to Chelsea away where they really should have got something out of that game, and they lost to Everton 1-0 where they had loads of chances and they'll be kicking themselves. They didn't get anything out of that game. So I think that West Ham, their squad is too good for this run of form to not start going in their favour at some point. I don't think they're going to be in a relegation battle. So their form has to turn around at some point, and I think Wolves obviously provide stern competition, but with their lack of firepower right now, I think West Ham could maybe force issue a little bit and get a goal and go out for a clean sheet. So I'm going for a very, very tight 1-0 victory for West Ham.
All right, let's move on to the Sunday games. Another derby here, this time the Manchester one. Manchester City against Manchester United. And I, for one, are really excited for this game. Sim's gone for 4-2 to Man City. I've gone for 3-1 to Man City. What's your thinking?
Yeah, look, Man City, obviously unbelievable. Ten Hag's kind of adjusted his approach at Man United, where they're playing a bit deeper, especially against the better sides than maybe he would care to like, but providing that counter-attacking threat. But I just don't see their defence being good enough to hold out Man City side of Haaland in absolutely unbelievable form. There's no chance they can contain him, so I can see them getting loads of goals, but with Man City or Man United attacking threat, whether obviously depends if Rashford and Sancho are available. Apparently they're struggling with fitness. But let's say I'm going to assume Rashford is fit. If so, I think they can definitely get some chances, and I think he's playing quite well right now. So I've gone for them to get a couple of goals.
Yeah, I think Man City will be a bit too strong, but you got to give credit to Man United and Ten Hag. Since that 4-0 defeat to Brentford, it has turned around massively for them, beating Liverpool, beating Arsenal. So I think that they can find a goal from somewhere, but I just think at the Etihad, Man City are just going to be way too strong. Erling Haaland's going to get at least 2 goals probably in this one, and Man United will succumb to another defeat this season. So I've gone for 3-1. Sim's gone for 4-2. Next up is Leeds against Aston Villa at Ellen Road, and we've both gone for the exact same scoreline here, 2-1 to Leeds. And Leeds haven't won in their last 3 games in the Premier League. They'll be definitely chomping at the bit to get back to winning ways. Aston Villa, on the other hand, have taken a slight upturn in form, but I still don't believe that they're playing well. And I think Steven Gerrard, I think he could be on his last legs there. I think he will get sacked at some point this season. I've gone for Leeds just to nick this one 2-1, but I do think it's going to be a good game of football.
Yeah, I think Leeds playing at home, the crowd will be on their side, and once the crowd's on their side, they can be quite a force. And you saw what they did to Chelsea that a few weeks ago. But obviously, Villa got, I think, a 1-1 draw in their last game to City, didn't they? But I just don't believe that they're playing amazingly well. I think they rallied in that game and got the draw, but I still think they're lacking in a lot of cohesion under Steven Gerrard. So I think Leeds, with their young, vibrant attack with Aronson and Sinistera, who's in great form at the moment, I think they'll have too much for Aston Villa in this one.
All right, and the next one is an interesting one. Last game of the weekend, which will be Monday Night Football at, I was about to say Filbert Street. I said King Power. Both of us have gone for 3-2, but I've gone for 3-2 to Forest, and you've gone for 3-2 to Leicester. This is going to be very interesting. I mean, both teams have been shocking at the back this season, especially Leicester conceding a minimum of 2 goals a game. I mean, Leicester haven't won this season, and I can't really see it happening this time. I think Forest, with Brennan Johnson up front, with Awowi up front, or however you pronounce his name, I do think they're good for a win this game. And I think that the way they're attacking this season, I've been quite impressed with them. But on the flip side of that, I think Leicester also, the way they're attacking, I've also been very impressed with James Maddison at the heart of things. So, to be honest, with that performance at Tottenham, I'm talking myself into the opposite scoreline here. Talking about their performance at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we probably think they're good for a win here, but I'm going to stick to my guns, 3-2 to Forest. So I'm not going to argue with myself anymore here.
Yeah, I just think Leicester right now, despite not playing too well, and they're not, but going forward, they're creating chances. And in that sense, they gave Tottenham a lot of trouble. They've given a lot of other teams a lot of trouble when it comes to their offensive ability. So I think they're going to give Forest problems. Forest right now, as much as they're playing okay, they can't get a win for love nor money. They losing to Fulham, losing at home to Bournemouth as well, while when having a lead. So
at least they actually have won this season.
Yeah, they won one game, but I think Leicester are due a win, and no better time than at home to Nottingham Forest. I think that's definitely. I think Forest are going to be involved in a relegation battle by the looks of things. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get another defeat. And I think Leicester, they're not going to go through the whole season without winning a game. So I think this is a good time for them to get that first win.
6 losses on the trot for Leicester is crazy.
It's terrible. I think they'll get a win eventually, and I think this is probably the time. Doesn't mean they're going to completely turn it around just because they beat Forest, but I do think they're due a win, and I think it's going to come in this game. But I do see it being a lot of goals.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to change my prediction to 3-3, but I'm going to keep it. But let's move on to the star men. Sim's gone for Jack Harrison. I've gone for James Maddison. Obviously, James Maddison against Nottingham Forest. I've just said they're going to lose 3-2, but I have picked James Maddison as my star man, as I think he's going to be in the heart of everything going forward for Leicester. Yeah,
and he's having a great season. I would have picked him if I hadn't picked him already, but I went for Jack Harrison. I think at home to Villa, he's going to be right up for it. And I think on the wings, he can get some joy attacking Aston Villa. So I think he could be good for a goal or an assist. So I've gone for Jack Harrison at home to Aston Villa for Leeds.
All right, so there you have it. That is our Predict the Prem for this week. Massive weekend. North London derby that kicks off the weekend. There's obviously you've got the Manchester derby as well. We'll see you all very soon, going live with Coach Stell for talking tactics against Arsenal. So we'll see you all there. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.